Nice Micro Monday, how Meta appeared on the scene. So as you might have heard, the parent company of Facebook, which was called Facebook Inc., have been renamed to Meta, and Mark Zuckerberg made this announcement, and that there are already a lot of memes about it. Someone renamed it Feta, someone renamed it Metal, and drew like this long beard and long hair for Zuckerberg. But in the grand scheme of things, we all know this is just a misdirection. It's just, I don't really think it was going to matter on the long term. Does anyone remember the time when Google renamed its parent company to Alphabet? It's still called Alphabet, but I guess most people probably already forgot it and just call them Google anyways. So I don't think this will have any kind of implications, any kind of real change in anything. It's of course a misdirection after all the whistleblower issues that, we all knew. Kind of, I guess, people who paid attention, we all knew how Facebook ruins modern society. And it's not just like the same way as people were talking about how television is ruining modern society or computers are ruining modern society. Facebook actually has internal documents, internal research papers, internal evaluations of their products that show that how they ruin society. So when the company itself kind of figures out that they ruin society, I think we are not predicting that society is going to be ruined by Facebook because we are old and we cannot keep up with the changes in modern society, and because we think that only the things that were out there when we were kids are good and everything newer than that is bad. We might just be much justified about thinking how Facebook's ruining society based on Facebook's own research. I think I'm just hammering this point on a little too long here. You already know that if you are a viewer of this channel, you probably understand many of the privacy and other implications of Facebook. And so a lot of people think that we could kind of avoid many of these pitfalls if we would just move towards decentralized models of social media, but I'm not quite sure about that. So a lot of things about Facebook are bad because of the company, what the company is doing, so how they develop their software. But I think most of the social media owned by Facebook is just bad because of the people who are on that, just because the medium itself incentivizes behaviors that are kind of destructive. So when you did not have social media, you wanted to share your photos, you had to put in a lot of effort. You had to, even before the internet, you had to, maybe create like physical copies of the pictures you wanted to share people. You had to go to their places or invite them over and give them the pictures, or even if you just don't want to give them, you just want to show your photo album, you still had to meet them. And even when the internet was there, but no social media social media did not have prevalence, you might have been able to send your photos to your friends via email. And, a lot of boomers do that still. And I kind of started thinking that that's like the best solution. Just put in some effort. If you want to share something with someone, just send them directly. But, social media incentivizes you just to put things out there for everyone to see. And when everyone is doing that, then you are just constantly bombarded by, the pretty pictures of everyone's lives. No one is sharing like the ugly pictures of themselves. They just share their high moments, and on other social media, they maybe, share the things that annoy them. So, when in the old times, when you were annoyed by something, you would like meet up with a friend or a few friends and just share your annoyances with them. Now you put your annoyances out there for everyone to see, and when everyone else is doing that, then every people's annoyances are bombarding everyone else all the time. I don't think it's a problem with Facebook, the company. It's a big issue, I think, with how just social media works in general. And even, without any kind of this algorithmic, amplification of certain messages, just generally, if everyone is putting out their annoyances, it's just going to be everyone's annoyances stream. And when you meet your family, maybe, you have a big Christmas dinner or whatever holidays you have in your country, we usually had like Christmas and Easter when the extended family would meet up, and we would have some discussions at the dinner table. We would talk about things, what happened to people, what people think about certain topics. And even in these cases, we wouldn't go into like the deep political views of each other. We wouldn't discuss religious views in that, in those terms, especially when it's like a big extended family and we know that there are people with very different viewpoints. We just wouldn't go into those things that we would assume that make a lot of unpleasant conversations, because, social functions, we are not there as a family to educate each other on political theory. We are doing this to, have some cohesion in the family, and we can, we meet the people who we will depend on when we are in trouble. That's kind of the social function of that. But on social media, you can see the very, very bad political takes that your family members are having, the very, very bad and uninformed religious takes, and made up stories, like those fake stories made up about Albert Einstein, things like that. Why would you want to see that? You don't want to see that. Don't be on social media. So that's what I think is, basically, we know that Facebook is bad, but I don't really think that Facebook, the company itself, let's not, I don't want to downplay their direct role in making like conscious decisions to build their platform in a way that have incentives for antisocial behavior. But it's not really, I guess it's not really like the fault of the company itself. It's like the fault of the social media to be like profitable. They have to grab the people's attentions because no one wants to pay, of course, for their social media accounts. So they have to get their investment back based on advertisements, and they want to show as many advertisements to as many people as possible. So they need to keep the people's attention on the website. And so I wanted to share with my experience on one of the first social media platforms I was on, 15 years ago maybe, or even more, which was like a specifically Hungarian developed social media platform. We just called it IVIV. It was IWIW for International Who is Who, but spoiler alert, it was not an international site. But it has very basic functionality. You could put some pictures on, I think you would have like a profile which had pictures on, but if you upload a new picture, that wouldn't notify everyone in your circle that you uploaded a new picture. They would just see that picture whenever they, browse your profile. And the meaning of those pictures were not to show what you are actually being up to. It's just the picture so people can identify that it's really you when they want to connect with you. And the biggest upside of that was that you could organize events on that. You could message people. You could, find long lost friends from high school, middle school, whatever, primary school or kindergarten, whom might have changed their phone numbers since you last met. So even you saved their phone numbers and you never called them, so you don't know they changed their numbers. Maybe you don't have their email address. You could find them, you could message them, you could organize events. And that was really good. And when I first started using Facebook, this is what we use Facebook for too. But then, Facebook inherently has this like and comment section, which is, I think, very destructive. So, and also the live updates of people posting stuff and posting pictures. I don't think that's I just said, I said, I don't think that's conducive for good social behavior, but it's definitely, if we want to move away from Facebook, which we definitely should, we shouldn't just replicate what is Facebook. I think Friendica is what's trying to do something very similar to Facebook, and just make it decentralized or maybe, less algorithmic manipulation. We should instead try to move towards something that's more socially conducive, to make conducive for pro-social behavior instead of anti-social behavior. So I don't think it's a bad idea if you can find people with similar interests. It's not bad if you can find people. Sometimes you would meet people at a concert, for example, and I add them on Facebook, for example, so we can exchange concert information later, but instead we just end up seeing like the total strangers' live snapshots, which is not really useful, I guess. And you are also get exposed to the others' really bad political opinions or something like that, which you would not be interested in because you just added this person for the similarity in your musical taste, for example. So if we could move in that direction, that would be nice. I mean, I'm trying to use Mastodon. This is kind of, I use YouTube, I use Odyssey. Those are, I use as video platforms, and I use the comment section mostly to give technical advice to the people who are asking me technical questions. But I also use Mastodon kind of as my social media, as Nice Micro, and I try really hard to use that as kind of a business account, so I'm not sharing any personal opinions there. I'm not sharing any, personal opinions, I guess, and personal, like what's going on with me. I'm trying to only focus on what's going on with this channel, what's going on with kind of the free software stuff I am trying to promote. And I try to use that less like a social media, but like more like kind of a business account for self-promotion. And I also have a Reddit account where I would, just use that account strictly for this free software advocacy purposes. And that's much better mentally than when I was on Facebook and on my personal account. Yeah, so I guess this concludes this video. This was on social media. I would like to say a shout out to RootBSD, who I almost forgot. I shouldn't forget him, because RootBSD promoted my channel on his channel and gave me 15 subscribers. So if you are here from RootBSD, then thanks for watching for this long and welcome to the channel. And if you are watching this but don't know about RootBSD, so RootBSD is promoting also free software like me, but he is more in the deep end with not something mainstream like Linux. He is going even the less mainstream things with BSD, and so there are not many good BSD content on any of the video platforms. So if you need anything to know about BSD, I think to go to his channel and check out his work would be very nice. I'll tell him I sent you there. It's a good idea to know about more open source and free software operating systems beyond Linux. And BSD, OpenBSD, I think is what he's promoting, is a much less controlled by corporations than Linux. So you might want to check that out too. So, if you have anything to say, you know where to put that. Like, subscribe or follow me, and I will see you next time.